Hello everyone, Fraczon here once again, and today it's time for some more cruiser action on the American side. Today we're gonna finally brush off the Cleveland Tier 6 in the US Marina. So just before we get into the action, I just wanted to make a really quick compare between the fully upgraded Cleveland and its predecessor, the Omaha. So in terms, just like as in terms of simple stats, the big difference is that the fully upgraded Cleveland has a range of 14.6 versus 12.7 of the Omaha. It has a very neat upgrade in terms of cannons. It has 4 turrets of 3 each, so it can full, let's say, broadside is comprised now of 12 shots. And it's slightly soloer, and sadly it has lost the torpedoes. So given that there are, let's say, quite a few differences between the two vessels, I hope that this following gameplay will manage to at least better portray the strengths of this new cruiser, which, although has lost its, let's say, torpedo essence of gameplay. Having said that, let's go straight into the action. And here we go with some live action with the Cleveland. So the map is north, and currently I'm moving towards, let's say, the mountain range towards the west. And I'm really hoping to find, let's say, an easy engagement, even because I'm rather alone. The destroyer has decided to peel off, and same has decided for the other cruiser that is in our area. So my only hope is that the battleship will actually decide to follow me in my quest to the west. And also because this is one of the, I think that one of the main principles of this game is that if you, let's say, charge along all alone into the enemy line, you'll just get zerged, let's say 4 or 5 ships versus 1, and you make no meaningful contribution. So let's say I'm taking a bit of a gamble here because all my team is moving either center or east, and I'm just taking a bet that here to the west I'll actually be either alone or have the chance to confront an enemy ship that I can most definitely take care of. So ideally maybe a lower tier cruiser or a lower tier battleship, maybe. However, my luck is on my side, as I do spot an Omaha at only 8 kilometers distance. So this is probably an ideal situation, and of course I want to expose my broadside, ready with some armor-piercing shells, since I certainly have better guns and better armor than the enemy ship. What I'm really worried about here is that there's actually a battleship backing him up behind him. That would be really the worst. But, you know, I have to take the chance. I really can't spot any other reinforcement. It just seems to be the Omaha. And here I'm wondering, where the hell is that ship? I can't see it. And finally, here it is, only 5 kilometers distance, really close. I think great for the armor piercing. I just fire off. I think I'm in a great spot to do hits. I think the first salvo was okay, not fantastic. I gradually adjust my aim, and I'm rewarded with some pretty good hits. The Omaha is now at a little more than half health, and I think here I cut throttle because I'm afraid that the Omaha might destroy me with torpedoes, but the last salvo just obliterates the Omaha out of the sea. So that I think was great Citadel shots, just didn't stand a chance. But I think that cutting throttle in case of torpedoes actually did pay off. As you see here, torpedoes were slightly leading me, and I managed to avoid them only because I managed to cut throttle in time. So here I'm just wondering, where do I go next? Because I'm afraid that if I'm gonna go around the island, I'm gonna be completely alone against most probably battleships, because there's plenty. However, I do see the destroyer here, the Mutsuki, really close, 5.8 kilometers, and what I start to think here is like, sure, I'll go and defend the battleship, but the Mutsuki is already far too close to that battleship. The distance between them is probably barely 3 kilometers, and here I'm thinking, can I manage? There's a Kawachi shooting me, but that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter, Kawachi has short range, and here I'm like, either I one-shot this destroyer, or this destroyer will just obliterate this poor battleship, because it's far too close. The distance is barely 3 kilometers, and here I think the only thing I can do, well, apart from trying to kill the destroyer, is not to get myself killed. So I cut throttle. I would have avoided them, but sadly the Kawachi just didn't have the speed to evade them. So I would have loved to, of course, protect it from this destroyer, and I think my positioning was okay, and reaction to seeing it was also okay, but it just was, let's say, too little too late. So here you see I'm trying to catch up on it once again, but it's just too late, it's just too fast, it's turning, and here I'm like, oh, screw you, Kawachi, I'm just gonna give you a full salvo of what I've got. I mean, you're far too slow to chase me, so I wasn't worried at all by that. And well, I was really upset because maybe somehow I could have better protected the battleship, but let's say the range between the destroyer and the battleship was point blank. When you use destroyers and you're at 3 kilometers, 2 kilometers, it's really so easy to kill the other ship. I think the only way is to cut throttle and change direction, and I think the Kawachi did neither of the two, so sadly we couldn't manage to save her. So here I'm actually getting some shots on the destroyer, and I'm actually wondering how the hell is it possible that I'm firing like 12 shells every time, and here I actually miss all 12. I'm like, god, that's either I'm shooting really poorly or evading is not working out. Here I do see torpedoes, and as I mentioned before, you see cut throttle and change direction. It works, it's how you dodge torpedoes. This was a bit of close call, but cutting and adjusting throttle is always good. Here I have an engagement with a Kawachi, and I'm a bit scared because the Kawachi has very short range, but does insane DPS if it actually hits. So I'm actually here, I'm already fearing of getting sunk because I really have nothing behind which I can, let's say, hide, and I know there's other battleships like in the area, plus another cruiser. So I'm actually wondering, how the hell is it possible that I'm still floating and I haven't sunk yet? So, while I'm also debating this internally, I keep shooting, and I do decide to switch to high explosive, because I figure out that at this point it doesn't matter anymore. I can't kill it on my own. However, when I see the Phoenix, I do think I can most definitely kill the Phoenix on my own. However, I'm also blundering into not one, but 2 South Carolinas, which is not exactly what you're hoping to get. However, here out of nowhere, I managed to catch the destroyer that before had so well evaded me while I was trying to shoot at the Phoenix. This was absolutely a complete stroke of luck. I was absolutely not aiming at that. I had no idea it was there. But of course, I was very happy that I managed to destroy it. So here I'm thinking, I have so little health, there's not 1 but 2 battleships shooting on me, so I thought I might as well try and sink the Phoenix until I'm alive. And I do get 3 Citadel shots, and it's just like an excellent position to sink it. I'm like, well, I may be able to take another ship with me before dying, because I can't believe that like the South Carolina, one of the 2 is not gonna Citadel shot me. But apparently not, they only managed to do about 2,000, 3,000 damage, more than manageable. No major repairing issues. So I managed to get a final salvo and managed finally to kill the Phoenix. And while I figure this out, I'm actually thinking, wow, I actually managed to survive the crossover into the, say, the open ocean. I can finally hide behind the rocks, and hopefully some other battleship or another ship, let's say support ship, can cover me or at least divert their attention. And I'm actually rewarded, as you can see, as some ally behind me decides to fire on the enemy battleships, which will most certainly have to give up the chase, since I'm planning to hide, let's say, between these islands. The plan here actually was, I have absolutely no idea, because I didn't even think I would survive the encounter. So I'm thinking, well, I'm already seeing that one of the 2 South Carolina is getting severely damaged. So I'm like, well, I might as well do take the sacrifice and, let's say, expose myself, regardless if there's 2 South Carolinas. I can try and do as much damage as possible. However, one South Carolina actually gets sunk, and so I see that next to me there's a destroyer, and so I'm thinking, well, I can kind of be the bait here. There's also, of course, dive bombers doing their duty from the aircraft carrier. But I'm thinking, if that Mutsuki wants to have, let's say, an additional chance of sinking that South Carolina, I might as well kind of be like a target duck, you know, just try to be, just to be there, just to help out or distract that South Carolina. Here I fail miserably by shooting at rocks. I really thought I had that in my range. However, the South Carolina is gradually being whittled away by the shots of both a New York, a cruiser, and eventually I think also the destroyer. So I'm actually really lucky here. I managed to escape pursuit from not one but two battleships. And here I'm actually considering my next move. I know there's another battleship to my left, but I definitely think I can't engage it. The Kawashi is moving away, and it will take for ages for me to eventually get there. And then there's another Wyoming in support, so I definitely think I'm not going to the left. Plus there's also the cap point to the north. So I really, all in all, I survived, let's say, one double battleship attack. I didn't want to push my luck and try a second one. Therefore I decide to advance. And I'm like, even if I don't make any contribution in terms of punishing other ships, I will try to at least get to the cap point and accelerate our victory. However, I do notice actually that the Kawashi not change direction, but is actually coming out of the island instead of, let's say, going inside. So I think, well, there's another two ships shooting at it, and it only has about 6,000 health. I think a full broadside might just as well do the trick. And that's exactly what happens. This is because my broadside has 12 guns, well, has a total of, let's say, 12 shots, and therefore 12, I mean, it's 4 turrets of 3 guns each, so total, let's say, of 12 guns. So it can actually do against lower tier battleship like a quite prestigious amount of damage. And here I just think it's over, because I spot the enemy Aoba at only 10 kilometers, which is already has already taken the range and is already shooting at me, and I know it has pretty strong guns, as they're like above 200 millimeters. So I decide, well, if I'm gonna die, I only have 3,000 health, so it doesn't really take that much, let's say, armor-piercing shots to kill me. I might as well give him a run for his money, and I do by citadeling him twice. And here I'm just thinking, well, if he's hiding behind the island and he's like keeping me in his sight, then I really need to destroy him with the next broadside, or at least try to do as much damage as I can, so that my allies can actually finish the job and mop up. So here I'm ready to take my full shot, and what I think will be my final shot. However, the enemy Aoba just loses interest in me and decides to start focusing fire on another cruiser that's supporting me, that's the Murmansk, which is, to me, completely inconceivable, because the Murmansk is at full health and I'm barely at 1,700 health, and I just don't understand why he would stop focusing me. I guess that's like tunnel vision or something. But anyway, I get the opportunity to try and sink me. In the meanwhile, in the sky there's complete mayhem, dive bombers and so on. I managed to citadel him again. The Murmansk is doing great damage, and I think here I can just finish it. And I get rewarded by 2 citadel shots, and I think that these actually 2 shots might have killed me, but no, they just send me at 600 health. But at this point, it's pretty much done. I mean, there's only the enemy aircraft carrier. Here, however, I do see torpedoes. I see them first on the right, and I'm like, that's okay. Then I spot them also on the left. And I think I'm like, yeah, I will manage to dodge those, or at least that was the initial assumption. I thought that would have been maybe an easy dodge, and instead I barely dodged them, and I must say I did lose my attention. I was much more focusing to the ones to the back rather than the ones to the front. So I think it was a pretty good combination of fortunate and skill. And at this point I'm thinking there's only the aircraft carrier, can I reach it? But it's at 16 kilometers, and that's a bit of a tall order for my poor Cleveland that with 600 health, that unfortunately is only a range of 14.6 fully upgraded. But at this point, the battle is pretty much won. We are both within the cap point. The enemy has basically nothing left to do and just lose. And as you can see, the bar is gradually progressing towards its end. And shortly the victory screen will appear. And yeah, I did get some lag, did get some problem. I just decided to cut it out and go directly to the more interesting part of the scoreboard. 120 shots, 12 Citadel hits. I had triple XP, that's why there was, let's say, so much, such a high amount of points. However, having said this, I do hope you enjoyed this Cleveland video, so please like, subscribe or comment. And as always, this is Fraczon here. To the next time.